Aaron Boone joins us now on the show. Aaron, it's Michael, Don, and Peter. How are you?
I'm doing well. What's up, guys?
Not too much. We miss you. We'll just say that right out front. I know that Peter particularly does.
It's hard.
It's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
No. And it was a pleasure seeing you at spring training, and I'm glad that you gave me a couple of minutes. You didn't have to do that. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Yeah. What's up?
Well, let's talk about this series. Your team is not clicking right now. 3-7 over the last 10, the first 3-7 stretch of the season. Is there any concern on your part at all, Aaron?
No. I think one of these little stretches is inevitable. Like, I'm concerned about everything, but am I concerned that we're not really good? No. We've had some things that, got exposed or shine lights on. I think it's the timing of it kind of gives you a good lay of the land of, hey, what do we need to address? What do we need to get better at? Are things we can do internally? Are there things we're going to be looking for externally over the next month? So I think, going through something like this kind of gives you a little clearer vision. And also, the first 2 months for us were, so smooth and went as well as, you could possibly hope for. That I look, in the long season, you hear me say all the time that adversity and things are coming for you at some point. Like, it's not the worst thing to have to go through this, and as it can be a little reminder that, hey, you can't. We ain't just throwing our gloves out there. It happens. Winning is difficult, and we got to make sure we keep that sharp mindset and that edge. That, hey, this is hard too.
I guess the biggest surprise for me, Aaron, was how your rotation survived without Gerrit Cole. It was really, really impressive, and certainly Heel was a major reason for that. Now he's come back to earth just a little bit. Is that any way concerning, especially the last outing, or did you figure that something would level off after what was an amazing start to the season for him?
Well, I don't know that he's come back to earth. I think he had a terrible outing his last start. I mean, that's, which, can happen. And there's things that you can take from that if you learn from them. And one thing I think Luis Gil has done so well this year and is he's learned things from every outing. And for as well as he's pitched, every outing hasn't gone exactly perfect, even though he's dominated for the most part. But what he's done is he's learned and grown, and I feel like matured as a player, as a professional, as a pitcher, as a person through all of this. And last start where, he really got roughed up for the first time, there's things to take away from there that I think are going to serve him and us well, that we can learn from, grow from, and hopefully get better from. And that's one thing Luis has done really, really well this year is he's learned from, for the most part, small hiccups within certain outings, but now a chance to learn from one where you got to hand it to you a little bit.
Aaron, we know how impactful Soto's been on the field. What's he been like off the field for this team?
He's been great. I mean, he's like, first and foremost, like, he's a really good dude, and I think he really invested into the team and his teammates early on in spring training, and I think his teammates back to him. Like, I think that's one thing this team has done really, really well, going back to even before spring training started, when we had so many guys down in Tampa, like, together, and, like, in a lot of ways, like, trying to put last year behind us, and, like, making sure we're not in that situation again, making sure we're having the winners and the lead up to spring training and the investment in one another. That was really, really apparent this winter, and even before spring training, that investment in one another. And Juan's been in the middle of that, and it's all been led by Aaron too. Judgy living down in Tampa, like. These guys are really, really close and really, really connected and really, really playing for one another. And that playing for one another is something that you could really sense from the start.
All right, so you have Gerrit Cole starting today. And in his last start, he threw 62 pitches. I think I know the answer to this, but I want to ask you anyway. If a pitcher is really dealing, it's usually 15 pitches an inning. So if you have him limited to 65, you're only going to get 4+ out of him, and then you're going to put a drain on your bullpen. How come you guys didn't let him progress to 90 pitches in the minors? What was the thought process behind that?
Well, who's going to give you better 65 pitches than Gerrit Cole?
Oh, I get that, but you still have to get like 15 outs out of the bullpen then.
But who? Yeah, but you're going to have to do that anyway.
Well,
like we knew going into that we were. So if you called up someone, the likelihood of where we were in the rotation, and with Cody Poteet going down, we weren't going to have the coverage.
Gotcha.
So we were prepared for that, and that was all kind of 3 weeks in the making of when do we want to bring Gerrit? What makes the most sense? Would we rather have him build the last portion of his build up here, especially with the run of we got through a tough stretch of the schedule where we had a 17 in a row, we had a 13 in a row. Now we've been in these stretches where we've had a day off a week. Now you can't necessarily account for, we had a week in where Gerrit he went into the 5th in that game.
Right.
And then we had Luis Gil had a tough start, and who else got knocked out early? We had 3 in a row. So it kind of set us back, but also, Yoendrys Gomez kind of reset us a little bit on that Friday game, and with the off day coming, we were in a decent position. So I don't know. We wouldn't have had a better answer bringing anyone in that spot, pitching us into the 5th inning. So we were comfortable with that, and we were equipped to handle that.
I know you don't like to give away these bits of information, but is he a 75 pitch pitcher today?
Yeah, I don't like to give that away.
I think you should have just let it ride, Michael. Maybe he would have slipped.
No, he doesn't slip.
Yeah, they're going to ask me in my press conference here in a little bit, how many pitches does Cole have, and I'm just going to not say anything. So, that and who's available in the pen, I don't like to answer in public or press conference. If we hang up and Michael, you ask me how many we going, I'll give it to you.
It's funny. I know you're being somewhat humorous, but it's true. Managers get asked these questions, and I always think to myself, why would they be honest? Why would they want the other team to know? Why would you want Mendoza to know who's available in your bullpen? I'd keep all of it a secret. I would say hello to the media, and that would be it.
Yeah, well, and not that it's too giant of a secret, if I gave it away, it would change. But still, it's just not necessary to give that out in a public forum.
And I agree with you, but I had to ask. I hope you understand.
How odd will it be? I know you did it in the spring, but facing Carlos Mendoza in the next 2 days.
Yeah. Definitely a little bit odd. I was, talking with Louie before the game. I'm like, I think I'm going to change a couple things in how I, do things through him and through the base coaches and things like that. So probably got to be a little more aware of that. We certainly know each other well, and so I think it'll be a little odd, frankly, but also something that's pretty cool to be a part of this Subway Series and all that it means to the city and the players and the fan bases, and it'll be fun to compete against them here for a couple days.
Any part of it more fun because they are playing better? Does it get you a little more hyped up now versus if it had been a month ago?
No, I'd rather they weren't playing well, to be honest. But no, I think that naturally adds a little more interest in it, a little more buzz, a little more juice. I always say these little series that you get to be a part of in the grind of 162, whether it's a Subway Series or, last year going to Dodger Stadium or going to London or Field of Dreams game. We're doing the Little League game this year. These little, or a big division series that sometimes during the year, they're little shots in the arm. They're little extra juice weeks and the grind of it all. So I enjoy it.
All right, right before, we're talking with Aaron Boone, the manager of the Yankees. Right before we brought you onto the show, I was saying that I have a concern about Glaber and about LeMahieu. I think, we know the injuries to Stanton and we know the injuries to Rizzo. That happens, but these guys are your players, and I think they've got to start hitting. Is there any concern about either of them?
I mean, a little bit. Start with Glaber. I do totally believe that he will get it going here offensively, and now with Giancarlo down, against lefties, he's the guy that needs to kind of slide into that 4-hole when we're facing a lefty, and he's capable of that. This guy in the prime of his career that been a really good offensive player for us, over the years, and I'm totally confident that it's in there. And hopefully now's the time where he starts to really turn the corner and get it rolling and at some point get hot for us. But I do feel that's in there. With DJ, a little more complicated just because of the foot things that he's dealt with over the last few years. And the frustrating part about it is, he was one of those guys that I thought put together a great winter from a physical standpoint, physical preparation. Came out in spring training, I thought looked really good, just had a different life, just a different level of physicality than I've seen the last couple of years, and was really trending in a great way. And then he fouls the ball off his foot and breaks his foot, and it really set him back. So I think he's kind of still playing catch up from that. I think he's healthy. I absolutely think he's healthy, but it's taken some time to obviously get him rolling a little bit, and it's something that we got to just we got to keep grinding it out with him and see where we're at here over the next several weeks. Because obviously he is a great hitter, and hopefully with time and continued reps here, he gets it locked in and becomes that presence in our lineup that when he's right, I mean, just the level of at bat he gives you, the ability to get on base, especially now with Volpe at the top. And in a perfect world, I love him hitting at the bottom when he's going well, because he gets on base at such a high clip when he's going well. It flips that lineup over and it could really make us dynamic. But I think we just got to be patient and kind of get through it and hope that he gets rolling like we know he's capable of.
Aaron, we're always having to put out closer fires here because of the standard that Mariano Rivera set so many years ago.
Yeah.
So whenever Holmes gives something up, the fans get crazy. But is there any kind of an issue or any concern with Holmes at this particular point of the season?
No. His body of work has been so good and so consistent, and just as importantly, he's really equipped, mentally, emotionally, to deal with the inevitable, bumps you have at sometimes, especially being the closer of the New York Yankees. I think there's that. It's partly Mariano, who, by the way, in 2003 when I got traded to the Yankees, I came over here and Mariano had blown a couple saves in a row and was getting booed at Yankee Stadium, and I was like, Mariano Rivera gets booed.
Yeah, anybody can get booed.
This is the greatest that's ever done it, and sometimes, we forget that they give up a lead every now and then. It does happen. You hit a little funk in the season. The good thing is, I think his funk, if you want to call it that, this year has been even better. There were times last year and even the year before where, had a couple weeks stretch where he really struggled to find the strike zone, a little out of whack mechanically. I feel like he's so much more consistent and efficient mechanically that the times he gives it up, it's usually a little bit wonky. It's usually a couple bleeders, and then, he makes a mistake with a pitch and they stick one in a gap or something. But that's the nature of a closer, and everybody has to deal with that. The reality is we've got a really good one, and one that's really mentally and emotionally equipped to deal with all that goes with being the closer of the Yankees.
Yankee manager Aaron Boone is our guest. So Jose Trevino, this is something fans are worried about too. 14 of 15 successful against him, stealing in the last 5 games. But Aaron, before that, he had thrown out 19 of 28 in the first 43 games, and that's 32.1%, which is higher than the major league average. So what has gone wrong in the 14 for 15?
Well, we had one really bad game.
Right.
Right? 9 of them happened in one game where, you're playing a team in the Red Sox that is their game. Like that is their roster right now, is athleticism, speed. It was a night in which, I think we gave up 13 singles and 6 walks, so they were on first base at a ridiculous clip, and the matchup just kind of presented themselves. They had a little bit of a lead. It just one of those perfect storms. Now, it's also one of those things that, that kind of shined a light on, hey, this is an area, though, that we got to get better at that. And it's on all of us. It starts in the dugout with how we, control that running game. It starts with the pitchers and how they do their jobs. Then, obviously, the catchers and the infielders. The catchers, that's what you see is them being safe on the catcher, but there's a lot of people involved. It's one thing, especially since Luis Rojas has come here, we have been excellent at controlling the running game. We've invested a lot into it. We pour a lot of resources into it, and we've been excellent. We've got a little bit exposed here this last week with that game, and then maybe another one. So it's also, in a lot of ways, a good thing to kind of shine a light on that, because there's a handful of teams that are really, really athletic, and that's how they play, and they're going to push the envelope. So it's also a time to say, all right, where do we need to tighten things up? Where do we need to get a little better? What can we do to slow that in certain situations? So it's on our radar. I'm confident we'll get better at it, and we'll fix it and be more in line with who we've been, hopefully, the last few years controlling the running game.
So it's not a Trevino arm issue, is what you're saying?
Look, Trevi, arm strength is not Trevi's strength, but that's not everything either. It's still about, being super efficient, getting rid of it, being accurate. And then again, all the rest of us, varying looks. Some guys are more than others capable of being quick to home or varying their looks, or with the pitch clock, it makes it a little bit challenged. So some guys are better than others at that. So no, look, in a perfect world, you got a catcher back there that's got a cannon that, has a release and all that, but you deal with what you got. And the reality is Trevi's obviously amazing back there.
Sure.
And while he doesn't have the strongest arm, over the years he's done a capable job of his part in the running game.
What's interesting, too, is you're talking about a 31-year-old. This is only, the second year of the rule changes with the stolen base. I mean, how much of an adjustment is that for a veteran to now go from something that maybe wasn't a concern that now has become a major part of baseball?
Yeah, it's not I don't worry about that adjustment part for the catchers, and especially Trevi. He's so on it, and his mind works really well back there and efficiently within that time clock. Sometimes it can be, certain pitchers struggle with it, and they're just not whatever. Some guys just aren't adept at, being quicker to home or varying their looks, as much as you pour into that and you try and move the needle with guys. Some guys are better at it than others. So it's something that we're constantly working on, and we'll continue to.
All right, before we let you go, what do you expect from J.D. Davis? You have him at first base today, and what do you know about him when he was at the A's?
Yeah, I'm really hoping that he becomes a piece. Obviously losing Giancarlo, might even open up more of an avenue for him to get to play. I expect him to play a ton against lefties, maybe some against righties. We'll have to get a little bit creative here in the short term about, just matching guys up. Hopefully a handful of guys catching some fire for the back end of our lineup, that it's, becomes formidable. But this is a guy that I think at the very least should be able to provide us something, especially against left-handed pitching. So he'll figure into that kind of DH first base, maybe a little bit of third mix, and we'll just try and kind of piece this together. But he's I think he's only 30, 31 years old, and a history of doing some damage, and especially against left-handed pitching, I feel like he can be really viable.
Well, Aaron, we thank you for joining us. I know you have to meet the media right now and not tell them how many pitches Cole could throw, but we appreciate your time.
No, they're going to ask.
Yes, they will.
Don't
tell them.
Meredith won't. I won't tell him. I'm just going to.
Don't pull a
loud look up.
Don't pull a JJ Redick F-bomb up there.
Don't do that either.
Keep it together.
Don't do that.
JJ Redick. He said,
in his introductory presser.
Yeah.
You don't see that every
on
day.
live TV.
Yeah, so all bets are off now.
Oh, wow.
Not Aaron Boone. He was brought up the right way.
That's not a Booney thing. Thanks, Boone. You're a good man.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Take care.
That was Diamond Notes brought to you by London Jewelers. Visit London Jewelers today at any of their 7 locations, including the Americana Mall and the Mall at Short Hills, and driven by Nissan. Hurry in. These epic offers are going fast at the Nissan Thrill of Summer Sales event. Shop your local Nissan store at nissanusa.com.
Wow, that was too comfortable.
It was very comfortable.
No, listen, I meant to say Booney, but the Y didn't come out. But by the way, it wasn't the least comfortable part of the whole thing.
Yeah, very uncomfortable.
What?
The start.
Yeah,
Do you have it back, Anthony?
Yeah, it was really bad.
Did you tape it by any chance?
Matter of fact, I think I'm.
It was something I did?
No. So what you'll hear when we play it back, because we have to, is that Don told his nice story about seeing.
Got eggs.
And then after it finished, there was nothing, and then Boone went, all right, so what's up?
Yeah, so we're done.
So the friendship's over?
I mean, no, listen, we're professional, but I'm texting it. I'm not going to reach out for his picks. We're done.
I can't believe you're acting like this, because I told you it wasn't a big deal that he spent time with you.
Yeah,
he probably felt uncomfortable when you brought it up.
If he hadn't given us such a dismissive "what's up," I was going to follow up by saying, "Aaron, don't you find it strange that Don is so grateful you made time for it?"
Because Michael made it seem like don't dare go near his office. So I thought we'd have a little fun. But listen, all right, we'll just keep it strictly business. Listen, I'm 56 years old. I'm trimming a tree. And a major branch got trimmed.
But you know what? I know the branches you should trim, and they're still there. So don't trim.
Yeah, don't be surprised, man.
What do you mean?
You don't know who he's going to trim.
Yeah, you don't know what's been trimmed. We haven't seen each other in a while.
Well, that is really an interesting thing to say.
Wow.
That is, I don't know how well you guys know each other. I know you're close, but for God's sake, man.
That kind of comment brings me some pain. So, Don, what happens when I have pain?
Well, when you have pain, there's a couple of things you can do, but